Hello. In today's episode, we will tell about a young girl's painful journey to prostitution. Join us as our main character takes you through the events that led her to this tragic path. My name is Pearl. I'm a 35 years old, single woman. I'm a sex worker. I've a sad life and I'm ashamed of being where I'm today. I don't have anyone who loves me or cares about me, and I don't think there will ever be one. I blame myself for ending up as a prostitute. I guess I was unlucky. It all started after I cheated on my husband. I cheated on my husband with a dentist in neighborhood. Let me tell you everything from the very beginning. I was born and raised in a village. I had almost no rights. I couldn't go out or travel. I always felt lonely. My parents were very strict. I was afraid to disobey them. They wouldn't even let me choose my own clothes. I wasn't free and it was killing me. Unfortunately, I couldn't choose the person I was going to marry either. My family acted according to what the village wanted. Yes, this was my life. I always dreamed of living in the city, being free. But not being a sex worker. I never wanted that. I always believed that I would find someone who would love me and there would be a happy ending. But everything turned out differently. I dropped out of school. That's the disadvantages of being a peasant girl. Growing up, I spent all my time at home, doing housework. Once my father's distant relatives from the city visited us. He was rich and was looking for a suitable wife for his only son Andrew. They had chosen me. Andrew's parents asked my hand. Of course, my father agreed to this. Andrew was very quiet and did not speak much. I had to force the words out of his mouth. He had a very odd character. He was small in stature and not handsome at all. I didn't like him from the moment I saw him. I didn't like him at all, but we got married anyway. After the marriage, I moved to the city. My physique and beauty didn't suit him. We didn't match at all. We had a wedding and moved to our house in a city. We lived like we were happy, but I wasn't happy. My life didn't satisfy me. However, I was more free now. I could wear what I wanted. My husband was at work until the evening and I would go wherever I wanted when he was not at home. I had become friends with a girl named Melody in our neighborhood. I used to share with her all my troubles. I used to go to places with her and she used to give me advice. She was a very nice person and her family was just as nice. Melody was my best friend. As I got married at a young age, I needed much advice in life. I told Andrew I didn't want to have kids yet. I was using contraceptives. Once, I had a toothache. Melody recommended me her dentist in the neighborhood. She had known him for a long time. I agreed to go to that dentist and that's when things took a turn to the worst. I started having an affair with him. Unlike my husband, he showed interest in me and took me out to dinner and bought me gifts. I got to know him during the whole time I was with him. Once he took me out to dinner. That day our affair started. When my husband was on a business trip for a week, he invited me out to dinner and I accepted it, because I was bored. He was handsome and it was a pleasure for me to spend time with him. It made me happy to be with him. I put on my best clothes. I wore something provocative that revealed my figure. He picked me up from the neighborhood in his car. It would be better if neighbors did not see us. If my husband heard about it, it would ruin our marriage. We had a dinner in a nice restaurant. I was drunk and there was my dentist in front of me. I couldn't wait to see how the night would end. Then he leaned towards me and whispered to my ears that we should leave and go to a hotel. There was a hotel just behind the restaurant, and as soon as I opened the door to the room, we started kissing. He was kissing me on the lips and the throat. I was kissing him back. We took off our clothes and he threw me on the bed. I used not to feel any pleasure when I was with my husband, but with the dentist it was different. I had wanted to experience such pleasure for a long time. We had sex with him several times that night until the morning. Before going home in the morning, I kissed him on the lips as we got out of the car and thanked him for the night. We had an affair for months, and the dentist was filling the emptiness left by my husband. I loved him now, and I was starting to hate my husband. Melody disapproved of my affair with the dentist after she found out about it. She told me that the dentist was a crook and that he had slept with women in the neighborhood many times and then dumped them. I told her that I had been with him for months and that no one was going to stop me from loving him. But Melody kept yelling at me and telling me that it would be a nightmare if my husband found out about my affair. I didn't listen to her and I kept loving him. I didn't realize that he was using me. He told me he loved me and wanted me to divorce my husband. But our love didn't last long and everything was ruined when my husband found out about us. My husband beat the dentist and it turned out that the dentist was married. All my dreams were shattered. He slapped me on the face and divorced me. Now I was alone in the city. I didn't know what to do next. If I returned to the village, I would be killed. I was left alone without a husband and without a home. I found a house for a rent and lived off of the little amount of money that I had. I tried very hard to find a job, but failed. When I ran out of money, I couldn't pay the landlord and I didn't have anyone to borrow money from. That's when I became a prostitute. The landlord asked me to be with him in return, otherwise he would report me to the police. He was coarse and I was crying while we were together. I was devastated. I couldn't pull myself together for a week, but I accepted that I had become such a woman. I had a bad reputation in the neighborhood after that incident. I started having sex with men in the neighborhood. Those who were bad-mouthing me in the street would turn into lambs when they visited my house. Hypocrites. I would also receive men from brothels, and that's how I was making a living. Sometimes I choose men that I'm going to have sex with. I've turned from a village girl into a prostitute. I have started hating people. I am ashamed of my current situation. I think I can change if a decent person came into my life.